Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Influential Nonprofit. I am really excited for today's episode. And first, if you don't know me, I'm Marianne, and I work with nonprofit leaders to grow their influence so they can ask for and receive what they want and need without feeling rejected or pushy, because who wants to feel that? And this month, I've been working on opening up the channels of receptivity and what that really means and what that really looks like. And I have Kim Woods here, and I'm so excited to talk to her because we speak the same language. And we're going to talk about intuitive leadership. And Absolutely. I'm so excited. Welcome, Kim.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Marianne. I'm thrilled to be here. Intuitive leadership, one of my favorite things to talk about.
It is. And mine too. And here's the thing, like, people don't talk about it. Leadership, and it's business, and it's practical, and it's the numbers, and it's the spreadsheets. And that is true. And there's another aspect of it too. And we're going to get into that and what that looks like and why it's so beneficial. First, I want to say, if you listen to the podcast, I always ask this question first, which is, tell me something you're proud of, but you don't get to brag about a lot.
Oh, okay. So I am really proud of the fact that I have been able to lead with magic in my life. And I'm not just talking, okay, so we're going to get really woo here for just a second, right? Like,
let's do it.
So woo. So I like right now, right beside me, I have got at least 40 crystals around me right now. Like, so that's one of the things, like, I am really proud that I have been able to, in my home, my family comes over, we entertain, my husband is, high level in an office. And I have no apology for when you walk into my home, there are probably 300 crystals around. I have wealth faces around. I have goddess statues around. I'm really proud of that. I'm really proud that I don't apologize for that at all.
Yeah. It took me a hot minute to get to that place, because in my journey of this, I was like, I just remember a friend saying to me, like, do you believe in dowsing? Those rods? Right. And I'm like, I don't know what I believe. And that was a true statement. I did not know what I believed. I just lost my mom. I birthed this book. I was like in this really like open space. And then when I found my coach, Michelle Villalobos, and I'd never done anything like this before, and I was like, well, what I saw, the successful people that I saw around me both looked at what they senses told them, and then what everything else told them. And they listened to both. And we got to think of a better word than wooier they got, the more successful they became. But I think that's because like you can just accept things and like, do I have to believe it? I can just like, I don't know how my iPhone works and I use that every day. Like, do I have to believe that? And I have a scientist for a husband. Okay. He wants the double blind study. Although the other day the Cardinals lost in the playoffs. And the first day they lost, he wore Cardinal stuff. And I'm like, why aren't you wearing Cardinal stuff for the second game? He goes, well, I wore it the first time, and they lost, so I'm not wearing anything Cardinals. I'm like, says the man who needs the double blind study to believe anything. Exactly. So, it's around us all the time. That's all Absolutely. I'm saying. That's my point. And often in business, how you feel about something, anything else but practical, numerical guidance is often dismissed. So I would love to know, like, how you came to help people be more intuitive leaders.
Yeah, so this is a roundabout. So I grew up in very traditional consulting. I was at Oracle for a number of years, ran a practice for them. And then I jumped into my own company, did business strategy. And then I had my first child. And, became a mom. All right. So many people have done that, but he had significant developmental issues. And so I went through the Western practice and, traditional medicine, and it wasn't really getting us where we wanted to go. So I went on the Eastern side to their methodologies and modalities. And all of a sudden it was like, the world opened up to me. And I realized, like, there's so many things over here. If I marry the two, like you talk about practical and about intuitive, well, if I marry these two, the Eastern and the Western, I wonder what type of results we'll get. Well, amazingly, we got unbelievable results. He's now 21. He's a junior at college. He has no significant issues whatsoever. And this is the doctors telling us he would never be able to throw and catch a ball. He wouldn't be able to have a sense of humor, a social life. He's on the spectrum. He's totally not now. And it was the marriage of the two things. So I was forever changed. And so then I had business on one side, doing the parallel skates, business on one side, and then my intuitive life personally. And then I realized, well, these incredible transformative results were so magnificent. I needed to bring it into business. And then once I did, it was life-changing for me, my clients, everyone.
Wow. I feel like that is so thing, like to keep these worlds separate, right? Like, oh, I have, the business over here. I have like over here. I actually have a lot of ways that I coach and train people that I don't always tell them like where it's coming from. Like my coach says, well, if they want a plan, give them a plan, then take them to go in the woods. I'm like, yeah, okay, I get it. Like when I facilitate retreats, I'm walking people through, through the chakras. Okay, now everybody knows my secret, but they don't know that. But we
Right.
talk about safety and support, like that's the low energy, safety, trust, right? From trust, then like create to expression, full expression, because we can't do that without trust. And then it's, and I move up them. And when you look at it, it makes so much sense. They're not saying like, because I know like everything's rooted in feeling safe, like that's safe and supported, right? And from there, then we can really build something. And I don't tell people that.
Right.
But and it works, so sometimes I will, but mostly like this is the model that I use, not really realizing where it comes from. And even if, like I said, even if you detach it from energy centers of the body, it still makes sense,
Right.
because there's a universal truth to it, however you apply it. So it makes sense. So how do you feel like, the people that you work with, and specifically like in the nonprofit space, benefit for, actually, let me stop that. What does it look like for someone to be an intuitive leader or use their intuition more in their business and their life?
It's so interesting because it looks the same, right? Like it can look exactly the same. What it means though is as you walk into a room, you could be sending your energy before you get there to see, like cleanse it and make it be as clear as it possibly can. You can set intentions, right? You can open your heart when people are, and I'm going to be in a boardroom for a reason. I don't know why, but I'm in a boardroom right now. And so you can read people. No, I'm not talking micro expressions. I'm talking about their energy, their mindset, if you will, their intentionality. And you can bring a beautiful communal result. Because again, I'm a consultant, right? So I'm usually in the room leading people, right, to a consensus, if that's the case, or a vision, or a strategy, or some sort of training. And you can do it on multiple levels, not only with your words, but with your energy as well. But it can look the same, right? Or it doesn't have to look the same. You could be working with people that are very open to that, and you can set a communal intention. You can have everybody going around the room. You can set, the overall energy. You can bring crystal energy in. I mean, there's so many things that you can do. So I love this work because you can do as little or as much as you want.
Right. I love you talking about walking in a room, because everything is energy and most communication is non-spoken. People forget, and we're so worried about saying the right thing or saying the wrong thing, or when most things are just felt, and we don't think about, oh, before we go into that donor meeting or into that boardroom, how are we feeling? How can I intentionally adjust my energy, and also be really, and that's what I work with people a lot on, is to read people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like read the energetic that they're getting and believe it. A lot of times folks will just feel it and move past it. Well, I can't deal with that. We're going to deal with this. And here's my agenda, blah, blah, blah. Right. And like, I'll tell you, like I was facilitating this day-long program, and it was like I was feeding Missouri. So it's all the food banks from all over Missouri, and we come together, and I wanted to start the day with this meditation.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, what are they going to think of me? If I start the day when, like talking about like giving and receiving and all the light and sharing, and I'm like, you know what, Mary, just do what you think is right. And I went in there and I started it, because if you're comfortable with it, they'll be comfortable with it.
Exactly.
And I went in there and I did it, and it was the best day. It was the best day. Right. And I was like, I would have entered that full day facilitation. It was a big, long day. Coming from a place of like disappointment in myself, probably. You
Right.
know what I mean? Like already feeling small. And I was like, and it people loved it and we had a great day and they were so energy rich because energy is everything.
Exactly. Yeah, everything's energy. 100%. Yeah, and honestly, in the nonprofit world, do we want to dive into that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's so interesting in the nonprofit world, as you know, because this is your industry, is that the exchange, the abundance exchange, isn't reciprocal directly, right? There's an indirect abundance exchange. You're going to the customer, who's the donor, that's giving to through you to the client, who's the client. I mean, to the service, whatever service,
Right, right.
food bank,
Yes.
whomever, right?
The
That's
recipient. Uh-huh.
the
Yeah.
recipient. That's the client. So what I do with the energy in those types of cases is make them be more synchronous, in that, you may be getting donor dollars, from like someone who's not even in that same arena, right? Or it could be a month before or a year before, or it could be an endowment, so that that's even like years before, and then the recipients are receiving it at a different timeline. So this is why, talking about energy, this is why the energies are so stretched in the nonprofit world, because you're almost pouring out of yourself instead of receiving the energy from the donorship. So I like to do the energetics of, let's have the fill you up with the energy from the donors, from that monetary perspective. Well, let's fill you up with the gratitude from the recipients. And then that you don't feel so worn out, exhausted, worn down.
Right.
Because
Right.
with profit, it's an exchange. Like my world is a profit world, so I receive money and I give service.
Right.
I don't need to do that because I don't have that same delineation with time and space. So honestly, doing
Wow. Okay. So
around
that's
that.
such a, I just want to make sure I understand this. So, like, what you're saying is, like you and I have like, we have a business. You pay me money. I feel that. So,
Mhm.
what you're saying is, they're not feeling it because it's not for them, it's for these other people. It goes through them. So, it's
Absolutely.
important to then, like, feel yourself the gratitude of those, you know, right? And the gratitude on both sides, right?
Yeah.
Because giving is a gift. Like, the gratitude, like the donor, because people feel good when they give. So you've
Yeah.
got gratitude on both sides that you can receive. Yeah, and that is really interesting because you're right. It's not going to me, it's going through me.
Mhm.
Right. How can I be a more open conduit for that exchange?
That not only do the openness too, but like allow yourself to be filled up with that, because so many people in the nonprofit world are eroded energetically. They're stretched too far. They're just stretched too far.
Girl, this is yes. And there's a Rumi quote: you give from the overflow, not the depths of your well. And a lot of people will work with me, take my influence class, because they're like, I've got nothing,
Yeah.
and they're not able to energize and inspire the people around them because they don't have anything. In the
Yeah.
same sense, like, I was telling you before we started recording, like, I went on this retreat and I'm going on another one next week. But I went on this retreat like last at the beginning of September. I had no idea how out of gas I was until I got there. And I
Yeah.
feel like that's it. Like, you have to get up and you go. And if I stop, people will suffer, right? Like and so I have to keep going. And when I paused, and then I came, like a whole new wave of energy came, and at this huge shift. And now, I'm getting ready to go on this other retreat. And so, like, I'm saying that because I want, like, I do the work too. You know
Mhm.
what I'm saying? Like,
Yes.
I'm not asking you to do something that I don't do for myself. And
Mhm.
so I can give to you from the overflow, and then you can give to others from the overflow. It's like the intuitive conscious waterfall, right? Of like, so I'm feeling energy rich and inspired.
Right.
Um, right.
Yeah.
And really receiving, open up the channels of receptivity.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because think about it. When you're in a donor meeting, you feel really good when that donor says, "Oh, I would love to grant you $1 million." Like, let's just
Right.
be that zone. But you're already thinking, this is great because now I can do this program, that program, this program, that program. When you're in a profit scenario, you're like, oh my God, this is amazing. And you can fill your team up, yourself up, it's
Right.
just, it has a different energy. That's not like it doesn't pass you by. So honestly, when you're in that, my advice would be, when you're in that donor meeting, fill yourself up with that. Like, really spend a hot minute or two saying, like, wow, that's amazing. Our coffers are full, like I am full, we are full, and celebrate
Right.
that. And even with your
Feeling it.
teams. Yeah, 100%.
I work with people like on the receptivity of like receiving compliments,
Yep.
like just not dismissing, because that's a gift, right? And so that can help you receive a door open, receive like, can I buy your coffee? Like, yes, that you
Mhm.
receiving that, because that opens up for you to like receive those bigger things that really can fill your cup, and feeling it in that moment, like really feeling the gratitude and and the love behind the gift, like feeling it.
Mhm.
Because yeah, because like you're probably already like, oh, we can do this, and it's like, wait,
Right.
hold on, like
Yep.
just it can feel a little counterintuitive to what we know, like what we think we're supposed to do, right? Which is a transactional thing,
Right.
like
And the other thing is you have two sets of clients in the nonprofit world that you don't have in the profit world. My clients are my clients. Well, you have the recipients who are their clients, but you have the donors who are the customers. So understanding you're giving on both sides. So it's 2x. So that's another reason why the nonprofit world, it is so critical to find ways to fill yourself up. So we're talking energetically, but it could be laughter. It could be, going to an athletic event. It could be, spending time out walking your dog. I mean, whatever that is, allow yourself the permission to double that. So if your friends are working in the profit world and you're not, a lot, then they say, oh, I went to take a yoga class and yoga's your jam, take two.
yeah.
Seriously, honestly, you almost have to 2x it.
Wow. That is, yeah. I mean, honestly, you are expanding my consciousness right now, right? Because you're serving two groups of people when
Absolutely.
typically a typical business serves one, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have to
Yeah,
serve these folks and these folks, and wow, how that can feel. So it's double important to take care of yourself.
absolutely.
And I meet a lot of folks who are like, oh, they want their staff to get the training first and they'll take it last. And I'm like, girl, other way.
Other way.
You
Exactly.
go first because you set the stage, you set the tone, and what
Exactly.
what you put out is what you get back. And so really being conscious of putting out, like what I put out, so that I can receive it, and I can be there for this group and I can be there for this group. And
Exactly.
yeah, and I honestly, that is an amazing, and I do like KPIs, right? Like everybody, like key performance indicators, but I have key fulfillment indicators.
Oh, I love
So here are
that.
the things that I do, and this is what I work with people on. Here's the things that you do to make yourself to keep yourself full, and those are just as important as, because you can't do the performance without the fulfillment.
Absolutely. And what do they say on an airplane? We hear this all the time. Put your oxygen mask
Yep.
on first, right? Like we hear that all the time. I say it a lot because people need to remember it,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, so what, like, if you're feeling like you want to be more intuitive, like what's the best way to tap into your intuition?
Okay, so here's the thing. We all have instinct. And right. So I think a lot of people can say, sure, my intuition, I'm not really so sure of it. It kind of whispers to me. I don't really know what it's saying. But I've had instinct before. I've had that feeling. Should I hire this person? Should I not? Should I go in this direction? Should I not? Should I take an umbrella? Should I not? You sometimes can get a nudge. What I don't love about the word instinct is we usually put gut instinct on it.
Yes.
And most people don't feel it in their gut. Most people
So
don't.
okay, so here's how I have like a hypnotherapist, of course, like
Okay.
I have all the wooey
Yeah.
coaches in my life.
Awesome.
Okay. And she was saying, I said, what's the difference between instinct and intuition? She said, instinct is usually driven in that lower energetic and from fear. It's a
Yep.
protection. That's
Yep.
the gut, right?
Yep.
Intuition is the higher guide. It's the higher self. And
Yeah.
because I kind of like, what am I listening to here? Like how, right? It's like, don't hire that person, or get out of that relationship. Like, where is that coming from?
Exactly. What I like to say is the instinct is the doorway and the intuition is the house. So the instinct,
Oh,
yes
gotcha.
or no, like instinct is a yes or no, because again,
Uh-huh.
it's fight or flight, it's yes or no.
Yes.
Intuition is a conversation. Now you really need to be in tune with your intuition to have a full conversation, because when it first comes up, it's like a whisper on your cheek and you're like, what? Right. So if you're not available to it, and in that moment of receiving and creating space and calm and silence, you're not going to hear your intuition, because your mind and your internal talk is going to be a little bit louder. But if you do practice and do give yourself that time and space, you will recognize that you might get that feeling first, like, ooh, where am I feeling it in my body? We can do an exercise right now, Marianne, if you want. Where am I
Sure.
feeling it in my body? And then, ooh, okay, that's a yes for me. That's a no for me. Good to know. And then you can expand on that, because it really takes practice. The intuition, like anything else, is a muscle.
It is, and it's like opening and receiving that and listening, and it does take calm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you want to do this
Yeah,
exercise?
100%,
Okay. All right.
100%. So for everybody, okay, so we're going to take a moment. We're going to just pause our thoughts just for a second. I want to get you in your body just by 2 or 3 breaths. So you can close your eyes if you want. You can put your hands on your heart or your belly or your legs and just take a deep breath in and just remind yourself that you're here, right? So you can feel your chest expand. You can feel it contract. Let's do one more. Maybe you can feel the seat that you're sitting in. Feel the feet, on the floor. If you're driving, you're not closing your eyes. And so what I want you to do is I want you to feel a yes in your body. And usually it feels a little bit like a lift. It feels really, 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 small. So it's gentle. It's very quiet. So just kind of take another deep breath. And I want you to say, my name is, whatever your name is, to your mind, like in your mind, just say, my name is Kim, my name is Marianne, my name is John. You almost feel like, oh yeah, cool. That's maybe like, yeah, that's a little settling. Now I want you to say, my name is Alfred. And you might feel a gentle, subtle, like, not really. My name is Herbert. My name is Fester. My name is Ghost. Right? Normally what we'll do is we'll actually feel, we can open our eyes now. If you didn't feel anything, don't worry. You can do this, and you can do this, a few times, because you will start to feel. The other thing is you can remember when someone came to you and you're like, oh, it felt kind of icky, or gee, I listened to my intuition. I listened. Some people it's gut. A lot of people it's a jawline. Some people it's a tingle, a different temperature. Some people it's like a resting on the shoulders or a coming up at the shoulders. I just want to say that because when we say gut instinct, where it's almost a disservice, because actually for so few people it's actually gut. So practice that a few times. Just practice that a few times, or remember what you have felt, because knowing what you're feeling in your body will help you know how your body's talking to you, and will help you know how your instinct nudges you. That awareness alone is life-changing.
I have a lot to say right now. Okay. Okay. All right. One of the things, like even how my computer is set here, it's set so that I'm sitting in a specific way where I'm sitting up and my head is slightly tilted a little bit forward, not too much, because it aligns the spine and the back of the neck. They call that the mouth of God, right? Like, and that's where feelings and energy flows into the body. So when you're sitting in a Zoom and you're like this or like this, the broken, like teenagers, right? Like the broken neck, it's because they're trying to turn down the volume, right? And so even being conscious of like how you're sitting, and like, because that allows things to flow into you and into your nervous system, right? And so feeling that in your body, because I said most communication is not spoken, it's
Absolutely.
all felt. We get super tied into like, I have to have the right words and blah blah blah. I was going to a speaking engagement, and I was a little late because I play this game with myself where I try to collapse the time space continuum, and and I and so I was not too late, but I was a little bit behind where I wanted to be. And instead of like grabbing my stuff and running in the door, I sat in my car for a minute and I focused on what there's a exercise I do. It's part of this program called the 12 stages of healing. But anyway, it's about giving and receiving the gifts. And I, like opening up my heart to them, receiving all they have for me. And I sat there for a minute and just focused on that, this giving and receiving for about, I don't know, maybe 30 seconds to a minute. And then I took a deep breath. And from that space, I got my stuff and I walked in, because I didn't want to carry the stress of this long drive into that room. And even if we could just do that, you know what I mean? Like just being conscious of how you're showing up. If you're showing up cranky, you're going to get cranky. Not
Right.
that you don't get to be crabby. I'm not saying that. It's like, okay, that I'm going to intentionally adjust the energetic to, and then I can go be crabby later. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? I
Mhm.
can open that up later. I mean, I've screamed into pillows. I get it. Like, I'm not saying you don't want to feel that. It's just like, I want to serve. And so how can I adjust that and to be really open and receptive to what people are? Because people tell me all the time, oh my God, your energy, your energy. Yeah, that's because I intentionally cultivate it.
Yeah.
Right. That's because I work on it.
Yeah.
Um, like, I love this exercise. Are there any other exercises or just real easy things people could do to start getting more in touch with intuition?
Absolutely. Here's the thing, being present, right? So you just said it, Marianne, like before you're going into an interview, either side of the interview, before you're going into a meeting, before you're going into work, even take a moment and really get present and think about, what are my intentions? What results am I looking for? What's the interaction? What do I want? Is it community? Is it a fun? Sometimes it can be fun. Do I want to learn something? Do I want a result to be, okay, we've set up this with 4-step pieces. I want to get through the 4 steps or whatever. Being in that moment is going to help so much, because now you're opening up the ability to listen to yourself. When you can listen to yourself, like for me, when I hop on sales calls, I know in the first second if I want to have that client or not, because that's really important.
100%. I know in the first 30 seconds if this is going to work. And I spend the rest of the conversation validating what I already know, but I know within the first 30 seconds. The thing is, they don't know.
Well, it's beautiful. So same thing with
Yeah.
donors. So when you go into a donor meeting, or if you're hiring somebody, or you go anytime, right? So you being present, you being able to listen, you get to show up for you, because that's really important. A lot of times we're thinking, oh no, what are they going to think about what I say? Or how is it going to look? Or are they going to like me or whatever? No, none of that. None of that. How am I showing up for me? How am I going to like myself? How am I showing up for what it is, and how am I serving me? And we've been conditioned, it's selfish, don't do that. Are you kidding me right now? We are living this one beautiful, wild life. How do we want to do it? And every single day and every single minute of every day, we're making the choice on how we want to show up. So let's show up for ourselves.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah. No, I can't do that. Oh no. Yeah. Because when you do that, then you give people permission to do that for themselves. Right.
Exactly.
And I just love that. That is, I again, like, I could tell, I can sometimes, I meet people, I'll be in a workshop and I'll meet someone, I'm like, that's my person. And I'm like, okay. And also, one of the big things I have is like releasing the outcome. So
Right.
right. So whatever happens is okay. Right. Like, I can hold space where I'd really love for this person to join my program, and I'm fine. It's fine.
Right. Exactly.
And that it takes a little bit to cultivate that, but that's such a different energetic than I need this gift.
Oh,
Right. I have to have it. I need it. Oh my God. Oh my God. Because people feel that. And what do? They go back into instinct.
exactly. They're feeling something that's off, like what you're saying and how you feel is different. And even if they're not quote unquote intuitive or instinctive, everybody is.
Everybody is.
Every single person on the planet is intuitive. Period. End. Period. Stop. Right. Done.
So, yeah. So how do you work with clients? Like, do you work with organizations? Do you work with individuals?
So we do it all, right? So I have a team of intuitive leaders that work with me, and we go out. Most of our clients right now, book of business is probably 85% entrepreneurs. And then we have about 15% that are corporate and other. Other could be retired, and people want to figure out what their next step is. And so what ends up happening is I literally say, here comes the woo. So I walk into your stars the minute that you're born, and I open you up to your full potential. And then we spend 6 or 12 months, either one-on-one or in group program, opening you up to that realizing of the potential. So there's a lot of healing facilitation, there's oracle for clarity and revealing, and there's strategy. I'm a business strategist. I've been doing this for 25 years. So that's what the one-on-one, like high level containers look like. But we also have beautiful programming. We have beautiful program that we are helping people step into their power. We are helping people open their receiving container for prosperity. We're helping people align with their purpose if they're unclear about that. And we've even gone further because we filled ourselves up. We filled ourselves up with all the beautiful, gorgeous transformation, and then we've rippled out now, and we've got a gorgeous introductory program that's on the 7 strategies on helping you to step into your success. It's awesome. People love it.
That sounds sexy.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
So
you know,
good.
I'm going to tell you a little story. Like I formed a partnership with someone, and I was talking to her about marketing, and I've developed this system. It's called the Content Hourglass, and for everybody knows I've done a podcast on it, so you can go listen to it. And I was explaining to her this system, and I said, "So how does this feel?" And she goes, "My imposter syndrome is raging right now." And I'm like, and that's why it's not about the right message. It's not about the strategy. It's like the receptivity of being that visible, being seen, of claiming her authority. Exactly. And I'm like, let's work on that. And then we'll work on the marketing, because anything that I would create for her is going to fall, because there's an energetic block. She doesn't feel like she's worthy. And so when you have that, and that's why I do what I do, because I did marketing, like you, a strategist. I'm messaging and what I saw was, why wasn't it landing with people? It wasn't about the message. It was about their ability to receive more visibility, to receive more money, to receive, anything, like a bigger footprint, for their nonprofit. Like and so, oh, well, let's do that first, and then we'll do the strategy. Absolutely. Right. And to prepare you for that. And I think, and this is fine, and I get why people do this. It's like, well, they want the messaging or the strategy to make them feel worthy. And that,
yeah, it will give you inconsistent results. Like, that's what we find, right? Like, it will work. I mean, you can learn the program, the solution, the system with a profile, whatever that is, the methodology, but it's not going to be consistent, because you're not going to have the ability to show up consistently, maybe. Right. And so, yeah, imposter syndrome. So stats here. So 84% of business owners, male and female, feel imposter syndrome. They experience it. 75% of successful women experience imposter syndrome. These stats are too high. This is why we've gone out further and further. And this is why I want to get my message out there about, like, it's all about you. First of all, 100% it's all about you. And it's really all about you, like, turning that lens in and trusting and knowing, liking, and trusting yourself. I have a whole methodology on this. And what we're doing is we're saying, okay, take this piece right here, get some clarity, take this piece, get some confidence, take this piece, get some consistency. And if you want to take, baby steps in, and then you can go into your purpose and your power and your prosperity. And then you can come into the know, like, trusting yourself. Yeah.
gotcha.
That's our methodology in a nutshell.
I love it. Clarity, confidence, consistency.
Yeah. Yeah, think about it. And this is why some people are like, okay, I want to get my marketing message. It's going to make me feel more confident. You know what I mean? I can show up more consistently if I know what my profile is. And yes, it's true.
Yeah, that is true.
But you're going to stop at that layer, right? It's going to be a very surface layer. You'll get some success. That'll be beautiful. People mostly come to us because they're frustrated with the level of success that they've achieved, and they're hitting a point.
Yes.
So that's when we go deeper and we go deeper and we go deeper. So the closer we come in, the deeper we go.
Yeah. And that, they've hit a ceiling of some sort. They're like, and I know there's more, and I just don't know how to access it.
Exactly.
Yeah, God, this is amazing. We could, okay. And there's one thing that's really jumped into me from this conversation, is this idea of, like, you're serving 2 groups of people. Yes. Of course you got to fill that cup.
2x.
2x, 2 times. So whatever you're doing, double it, and then probably double it again.
Right. No, 100%. Right. Well, it depends on how empty you are. If you're running on an empty gas tank, right? But yeah, so we have a new free masterclass out there now.
Oh, awesome.
100%. So I've given you the bit.ly link. It's Say Yes to Success Now.
All right, and that'll be in the show. When is the class, or is it?
It's right now. It's evergreen. We do live ones right now. We don't have a live one scheduled.
Oh, so you can just grab that link and do that class anytime.
100%. Yep.
Thank you. That is so awesome, and we'll put that, and that'll be in the show notes, so you guys can grab that and just start stepping into and exploring this idea. and just
Absolutely.
see how it feels, see how it fits, see if things come easier, if there's more flow and ease to your day. And
Mhm.
that's, and if, I mean, because I know that you will have it. So I'm excited. Thank you so much.
You're
All
welcome.
right. Last question is always, we don't live in the same city. In fact, where are you calling
I'm in
from?
Boston.
Boston. Okay. I'm in St. Louis.
Mhm.
If we were ever at a karaoke bar together, which I can make that happen,
Okay.
what is your go-to song?
For some reason, it stopped dragging my heart around.
Ooh,
Yeah,
not for some
right?
reason, because that's an awesome song.
I think isn't it Petty? Isn't it Tom
Yeah,
Petty?
yeah, it's Stevie Nicks and
And
Tom
Stevie
Petty.
Nicks. Yeah, Stevie
Yeah.
Nicks. Yeah.
Um,
So-
yes. Right? That's yes.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. I'm just
Yeah.
remembering. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I got confused with Leather and Lace. That's also Stevie Nicks, but different duet.
Right.
Anyway, yeah, that's an awesome song. Yay!
Can I
Yeah.
ask you yours?
Well, I have a whole list on my phone.
I'm sure.
But okay, but right now, like, okay. So Fergie MILF Money, that's one because people
Oh my
just crack up because and then the other one, but it's Dua Lipa, Levitating. I
God.
love that
Ooh, I
song.
love that.
That
Yeah,
Dua Lipa got my husband and I through COVID. I feel like because that album, the album that Don't Start, that was a big song, and that came out like right as COVID hit. But
exactly.
anyway, I love that song, and the DJ downloaded it for me. He's like, well, that's the first time somebody's asked me to download a song and it paid off. Like,
That's
okay.
awesome.
But I also do like, see, you've opened up now, but
I know,
I do like
100%.
Broadway, all that jazz, and
Ooh,
I do
nice.
some 80s. And I tend to, like, my friends will be like, what song is this? I'm like, I don't know, we do it at Zumba. Like, I like
Yeah.
to do a lot of new stuff, and I
Mhm.
like to do more contemporary stuff, and sometimes, but it's always fun. But that, who's Stevie, that she's the queen. So
I love her
that's a
so
great
much.
song.
Yeah.
A great song. All right, Kim, this has been so amazing. Thank you so much for just stepping into the unknown and the mystical and the magical, and like sharing that with people, so they can see that there's so much out there for them.
There is so much out there, and everybody's intuitive, everybody's a leader, and everybody, you make your choice. And how do you want to show up? Right?
Yep.
You want to fill yourself up.
Oh, thank you so much. So that is another episode of The Influential Nonprofit. And if you haven't yet, you can go to theinfluentialnonprofit.com. I have your Up-Level Your Influence Starter Kit. A lot of the concepts that I talk about is in the ebook. It's called Stop Sitting Back and Start Making Change. And there's all kinds of really cool stuff in there that you can start doing this work and really practicing your intuition, managing your energy, and like creating really incredible outcomes for you and for everyone around you. Thank you again, Kim. It's been great.
Thanks so much, Marianne.